Welcome into the latest episode of Betting the Pitch. It's super late on Saturday, December 7th, actually, very early Saturday, 7th morning, late night everywhere else, and including, I guess it's still Friday if you're talking Pacific time. Anyway, this is the Betting Pitch podcast. We go through the top five European soccer leagues. We come up with the best bet from each of the countries, smash them all together into a 1 minute reel at the real underscore G Warner on Instagram and on YouTube. And then we try to improve on our 17-4 year-to-date record. I just redid my math and calculated there's a push in there, but just for character space, 17-4 and 1 year-to-date, 8-0 last 8, 13-1 last 14. And we're going to try to keep that going. I will do that end of show, so stick around or check out the 1 minute reel or YouTube short at the real underscore G Warner on both those platforms. We'll start in England with Everton hosting Liverpool, coming off of a raucous midweek with a ton of goals being scored. Not great for me as an underdog player, but Newcastle was the best bet, and they did end up having two leads, then somehow find themselves behind late in the match, yet still equalized late for a cover. Everton, a one-goal underdog at home for Liverpool. Speaking of Liverpool, who were against the ultimate best bet on the last episode. All the juice on Liverpool right now on the road at their noisy, nasty, angry neighbors. Totals 2 3/4, and the juice is split both ways on this one. Actually, minus 108 both ways. It's one of the benefits of working with or betting through BetOnline or SportsBetting.ag. If you're not a member of either of those sites or you've never made a first-time deposit, go follow the links in the podcast description, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and on YouTube, and get some free money. So I'm interested in Everton as a big home underdog. I'm also interested in the under 2 3/4. I can't imagine after seeing so many goals scored midweek that they'll repeat itself again this weekend. There is something to clubs that are not used to playing multiple games in a week. Their defense does seem to suffer. I think Liverpool are clearly used to it with Champions League. Everton are not, though, and that's a big thing. However, the Everton crowd is huge. They just saw a 4-0 win at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers, including an incredible free kick goal from none other than Ashley Young, oldest, I think, Premier League player to ever score a free kick. Direct free kick. So Liverpool, to me, I mean, they're leading the Premier League. They keep looking like they're going to run away with this thing. And even with a disappointing draw from a lead, though they did trail twice on the road at Newcastle, one of the toughest places to play in the league. I think there's still way too much expected of Liverpool. They can possess the ball, they're good at that, but I just don't necessarily believe in who they are. They're awesome, they're super deep, they've got a lot of great things about them, but I think there's more value potentially going against them the rest of the season. Moving to the, I guess, a smaller than normal window on Saturday afternoon in England and in the morning still here in the United States. Aston Villa, 1.5 goal favorite to Southampton with all the juice right now. Over under is 3.25, juice slightly more to over. Southampton, what a joke of a performance midweek. They had actually been covering and hitting unders multiple times back and back. But that spigot turned off really quickly, especially disappointing against a rotated Chelsea side. Southampton's captain also, when they had two players suspended from yellow card accumulation, their captain decided to pull Mark Cucurella. Well, I almost went the English way. Mark Cucurella's curls, pulled his hair, got a red card for it in the first half, and the floodgates opened if they weren't open already. Southampton, I mean, we know that they're going to make a really bad mistake at the back. Their goalkeeper who'd come in and played pretty well against Brighton in his debut in the Premier League at 29 years old. Not a great sign, but he was awful against Chelsea. Really struggled I mean, at this point, the Premier League is just allowing goalkeepers to be fouled on corner kicks on no other plays. And it's so different than the rest of the world. And I'm sure that's going to come up with an English Premier League referee in Champions League or Europa League coming up soon, or Conference League, I guess, but no one cares about that one. With that said, Southampton need to go back to McCarthy. I don't think that was an injury reason why they switched. I mean, McCarthy's not good either. It's amazing how much they miss Aaron Ramsdale. But at this point, I'm just Aston Villa, they've had such great success at home, and they do really prevent goals there. I think that's the biggest interest for me in this matchup. I don't really want much to do with Southampton as a side here away from home. At home, I'm interested because they're usually a big underdog, bigger than I'd expect, and they've covered against Liverpool. They could have covered against Chelsea. I mean, we're in that game for a while until the gates kind of burst open, but you could argue that probably wasn't the best matchup or the best bet for anyone to make. But Aston Villa, they have been really, really struggling. It makes me tempted to go also on Southampton, the side and the total, but I think the total is my biggest interest in that one, under 3.25, because anything above three, it makes it that even if you give a goal away from playing out of the back, it still gives you three more to play with, and that's something I think will be valuable down the line this season. Moving next to Brentford hosting Newcastle, currently Brentford a quarter goal underdog at home with more juice. Over under is three. Both of these about juice as much as they can go without looking like they're in danger of moving to the lower next rung or on the ladder, if you will. Newcastle, very, very different road splits from home and away. They are, I think, really great at home, and I want to back them as an underdog every time. And I don't think I will stop doing that because all they do is cover. But away from home, it's different. They did concede a late goal to Crystal Palace last weekend. Brentford have been great at home. They've been getting no points away from home, but getting all the points at home. For that reason, I'm interested in Brentford getting that quarter of a goal, and I'm interested in under three, though. Brentford have seen a lot of goals in their matches. I don't think they deserve them, but they've seen a lot of them, and that's something I'm trying to take a little bit better note of. Moving next to this, I guess, third match in this 10 a.m. Eastern time window here on Saturday, December 7th. We have Crystal Palace, a three-quarter goal underdog at home, a little bit more juice than on Manchester City away from home. Total is three and juiced all the way to under. Might see this hit 2 3/4. We saw a pretty good performance from Manchester City, though Kevin De Bruyne was literally giving the ball away for fun. He looks like he's way over the hill, and I'm wondering how soon he'll be playing in Saudi Arabia. But at this point, I think Crystal Palace at home, they've proven it over the years that they're a great home team. Got a big win on the road at Ipswich earlier this week. Played on Tuesday, where Manchester City played Wednesday. So that rest advantage is huge, and the crowd advantage will be even bigger. So I'm interested in Crystal Palace. Still not a believer that Manchester City has solved their problems. If they're just going to try to outscore anybody, that does put the under three at risk. But I think Crystal Palace, they're going to be fighting like heck to try to keep this a low scoring matchup because they are not likely to keep up on the scoreboard with Manchester City. To the last matchup on Saturday, Manchester United hosting Nottingham Forest. Currently, Manchester United, a three-quarter goal favorite with all the juice on Nottingham Forest away from home. Totals 2.5 in this one. Juice pretty high to over, and that's one of the smaller totals I've seen from Manchester United. I think this season they've been going under almost every week until Eric Ten Hag had shown the door. Unfortunately, Ruben Amorim have seen a little bit more in the scoring uptick, both from him and conceding goals. The long unbeaten streak looked really nice, but Manchester United, remember, they're playing in a competition where they're spending like five times what their competition is spending on just their starting lineups alone, and then their bench is even more powerful and potent and it's cost a lot more. I'm looking to be against Manchester United as far as the eye can see. So I'm interested in Nottingham Forest getting at three-quarters of the goal. Finally, Chris Wood, as I backed him against Manchester City this midweek, gets a breakaway one-on-one with a goalkeeper, doesn't put it on net when literally he's scoring every match from ridiculous angles, positions, and everything. We figured that reversion mean would occur. Disappointing that it happened in the first on a breakaway against Manchester City, and it would have probably changed that game as equalized instead of then falling behind 2-0. But we'll see what happens with Manchester United. We'll see how they handle him, and I'm just not a believer. So I'm leaning to Nottingham Forest. Would love to get a full goal of insurance. That doesn't look likely in the nightcap on Saturday in England, but under 2.5 looks interesting, and it looks like we might get to 2 3/4 and maybe even three before kickoff. Moving to Sunday, Ipswich Town hosts Bournemouth. Currently, Ipswich a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over under is 2 3/4 juice all the way to over. Bournemouth. Weird to see them move from an underdog at home to a favorite to Tottenham Hotspur. Though there were some rotations from the Tottenham side, which is a little bit weird to me. Wonder how much Human Son will be playing, or Son Heung-min, however that should be pronounced. That's not so relevant to this matchup, though. Ipswich, they have not been able to win at home yet, and they're going to need to, or they're not going to stay in the league. Bournemouth are a better team, of course. They're getting priced like a really good team now. Disappointing because they were pretty much the lifeline to start the season. I think my biggest interest is under 2 3/4. I don't really trust Ipswich to score. Bournemouth are not great goal scoring team either. I think they are great on counterattacks, but they might have more of the ball in this matchup because Ipswich know they need to defend. They know they need to win, but I think they need to defend even more. Would love to see this hit three before I play it, so I'll wait till then. But for now, I'll put it on my list as Ipswich under 2 3/4. Next, go to Fulham hosting Arsenal. Currently, Fulham a one goal underdog in a London derby, if you will. Fulham with all the juice at +1 over under 2 3/4, juice really heavily to under. Might see this fall to 2.5. Fulham have not really been a great defensive team, and I think they've been more impressive offensively than anything. I don't know that I trust that to continue necessarily, but at this point, I still don't believe that Arsenal are going to be in a position where they're giving up a lot of goals this season. Fulham are a little bit more open, but I think they will play very defensively. We've seen that in the past from their manager, whose name is escaping me live, but we have seen it. I think Arsenal under 2 3/4 is my biggest interest in this one, though the home dog getting a full goal still reminds me of the time when you could just bet against Arsenal and to their under every time they went away as a favorite, and it was a cover stream. So that +1's important. I want to make sure you don't lose that. It's very used at the moment, so you're certainly at risk before Sunday's kickoff. Moving next to Leicester City hosting Brighton. Currently, Leicester a 3/4 goal underdog at home with almost all the juice on Brighton. Over under is 3, juice really heavily to under. Leicester, they got a big win, of course, scored a late goal and then conceded a late goal even later in stoppage time to kill my Leicester side, and under plays look like at worst it was going to go 1 win and a half loss on the 2 3/4, ending 3 with all 3 goals coming from Leicester. But of course, they conceded a late corner from West Ham. Brighton are a much better team. Leicester are kind of really struggle, I think, to stay in the league. I don't know that I trust Ruben Nistelrooy. I just think that anytime you can bet against West Ham United as a road favorite, you should do it. At this point, Leicester at home is certainly the way to be looking. I do want to see if this hits 1 before I play it. And I think until then, I'll be waiting to see because Leicester have conceded a ton of goals. It was really weird to see them substitute, not Connor Cody, who hadn't been playing at all, but instead Yannick Vestergaard for whoever the heck, for Wout Weiss, as I try to pronounce every name that's different than you would expect, or certainly different than the English pronounce it. I mean, Leicester, I'll put them on my list as a home dog. That's pretty much where I'm trying to live right now. Total is 3 is does feel high. I don't think this Brighton offense is anywhere near as attacking as it was under Roberto De Zerbi. Last on Sunday, but not least, Tottenham hosting Chelsea. Currently, Tottenham a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice on Chelsea as a quarter goal favorite away from home. Might see this at half of a goal. Chelsea certainly will be in a better rest situation because they've rotated for Southampton on the road and still got to win. But back-to-back road games can mean something, even though I think London to Southampton not too far, and of course London to London, West London to East London, not so bad, or North London, excuse me. Total in this one is 3.5, just pretty heavily to over. I'm leaning to Tottenham as the home underdog, just because I'm kind of surprised. I haven't had a great time betting on Tottenham as an underdog. Usually it's away from home, though. It's usually not in their building unless it's the best in the world. And I don't think Chelsea are there. They really can be. I think they can work on their consistency. I was about to say they can be consistent, but I don't believe that. The big question is kind of what this team looks like. Yes, they kill everyone in the Conference League, but the Premier League has been good to them so far. But I feel like Chelsea's schedule has been very, very fortunate. Last but not least, we'll go to Monday, and somehow Julian Lopetegui is still in charge and still a favorite as we're recording this in the wee hours of Saturday morning in the United States. West Ham, a half a goal favorite to Wolves. Total is 3, just a little bit more to under, and just very slightly more to the Wolves road underdog. I lean to Wolves. They are so up and down. They're conceding so many goals despite a really defensive manager. It seems really weird to me, but a lot of things went wrong at Everton, and they look like they gave up. I don't know the story on Gary O'Neill and what the heck's happened this season, but I lean to Wolves. I just want to be against West Ham as much as I can, and I'll lean to under 3 because I also don't think that West Ham are likely to score much. I do want to see the tallest Wolves lineup possible, though, to try to take away corner kicks. That's pretty much the only way West Ham could score right now. As for my best bet, which I'll nominate for later in the show for the ultimate best bet, 17-4 year to date, 8-0 last 8, 13-1 last 14. I will go with the Manchester United Nottingham Forest under 2.5 goals. Would certainly love to see that climb to 2 3/4, but I give you what I got, what's live as I'm recording. Now I'll move to Spanish La Liga, and we'll start with an early one on Saturday as soon as this loads. Las Palmas hosts Real Valladolid. Currently, Las Palmas a 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Totals 2.5, juice pretty heavily to under. Valladolid just completely falling apart, embarrassed at home of all places against Atletico Madrid after they finally looked like they were playing more defensively. They added a center back to their lineup and they're starting to actually realize that they can't lose every match 2-1, including being 1-1 in every match and seeming to concede a late goal. Things are not great for Valladolid. I'm not sure if they fire their manager yet, but I actually could look that up while I'm doing this. Real Valladolid manager. It's still Paulo Pezzolano, I guess. We'll see how long that lasts. Okay, no, they did sack. Okay, there we go. So now who the heck is the manager? Great. That's even more fun is trying to figure out which caretaker's coming in and which absolutely like because unfortunately in Spain, I feel like they just get retreads of retreads or retreads. Okay, so Alvaro Rubio, born 1979, so he's 45 years old. That's young. He's been the post 5 days. They won a Copa del Rey match against a team that can't walk and chew gum, probably. I don't know that I know this name very well, so we'll see what he ends up turning into. Man, there's so many managers on this list because they're all terrible. But um, Alvaro Rubio, he was he's just a caretaker manager, so he was charge of the youth squad, it looks like. So that's not great. He did play for Real Valladolid, played his last club at Bengaluru in India, I assume. Weird. That's probably more of a deep dive than we needed to do. And so we'll come back and Valladolid. I mean, I'd like to bet under here. Las Palmas have turned their careers around big time with the manager change. The manager to start the season didn't work. They lost their manager Sevilla, who had led them to such a great position, but then had fallen off the second half of last season. It's amazing the turnaround. Their Las Palmas is too big of a favorite, but I just don't think I can back Valladolid at this point. Maybe they play better under a caretaker manager, possibly. But I don't think it's Pezzolano's fault, I gotta say. So I'll put on my list under 2.5, but it's gonna be hard for me to actually put real money behind it. Moving next, Real Betis hosting Barcelona. Currently, Betis a 1 goal underdog at home with a little bit more juice on Barca. Over under is 3.25. Juice heavily to under here. Barca did a great job to get a big lead in La Liga, and they are peeing it down their leg, down the drain. It is almost lost. Real Betis, the nice part is that they don't have a striker, haven't had one all season, and it's really impacted their offense. As a full goal underdog at home, though, in the Benito Villamarín, that is a really tough place to play. The crowd will be huge. So I lean to Real Betis getting that full goal insurance. And I lean to under 3.25 because I think there's a good chance that if Barca win this, it's still a low scoring matchup. Moving next to Valencia hosting Rayo Vallecano. Currently, Valencia a quarter goal favorite at home with more juice. Over under is 2, just all the way to under. I like to push on 2 for the total. Rayo Vallecano to me are a side that haven't been playing great this year, but they're going to be defensive. They're going to make it really hard for Valencia to score, and that's what you need because I think Valencia has goal problems. So give me Rayo getting a quarter of a goal, and I'll lean to under 2 in that matchup as well. As for the nightcap, Girona hosts Real Madrid. Currently, Girona a half a goal underdog. Juice is split both ways. Total is 2.75. Juice all the way to over. Girona, they've been playing better lately, getting results. I don't really believe in them, including an incredible, brutal fourth goal of a match when I had under 3. Was pushing, looked like I was gonna get out of there, and some long ball header volleyed in from a center back. Amazing, but I guess gotta hand it to him. Girona, big point there on the road to Villarreal. Anyway, they were embarrassed by the big clubs, pretty much anyone not named Barcelona last season in La Liga, especially Real Madrid. Leti, I think, killed them too. So this is a big question. Girona have certainly not played as well. They sold all their talent. I don't think a half of a goal is enough for me, even though I'm not really interested in backing Real Madrid. I think my biggest interest in this matchup is under 2.75. We'll see if this one hits 3 before kickoff on Saturday evening in Spain. We'll move to Sunday. Leganés hosting Real Sociedad. Currently, Leganés a half a goal underdog at home with more juice. Total is 1.75. Juice all the way to over and then some. We might see a 2 before this kicks off, and that's what I'll certainly be waiting for. I lean to Lega at home as a half a goal underdog. That's the only real thing I can put on the list right now because I don't go below 2 on totals. But Real Sociedad going to control the ball. We'll see how much they can score. Next on the list, Athletic Club de Bilbao. They host Villarreal, and Currently, Athletic Club are a half a goal favorite. All the juice on Villarreal pretty much. Totals 2 and 3/4, just really heavily to under. Athletic Club are a better side for sure. They are certainly looking ahead to Europa League, but have been doing very well there. Villarreal, I think, have played very competitively, but there's a little bit missing from Villarreal of years past where they were much better and competing in Europe. Um, I do think the spread is pretty big though for Athletic Club. They're a better team, and all a half a goal does is basically make it so they have to win at home. But that might be enough to be interested in Villarreal, so I'll put that half of a goal on my list and lean to under 2 and 3/4. The Villarreal totals have been gigantic, but I just don't think they should be. A lot of the goals they've been conceding, which they have been conceding a lot. They certainly can score a lot, which makes that half of a goal underdog away from home a little bit more interesting. But I expect Villarreal's defense to improve, though. I guess we've been waiting a long time for that to happen. Osasuna then hosts Alaves. Currently, Osasuna half a goal favorite. All the juice on Alaves away from home. Totals 2 and 1/4. Juice really heavily to under. Osasuna, great home team. Alaves, I think they still have a lot of problems, including scoring goals. Stole a draw from Leganés last weekend. I just don't really see too much of that. I think the biggest interest for me is under 2 and 1/4 in this matchup. Though Osasuna certainly do play a lot better at home, and that means they score goals there. Last one on Sunday, we have Atletico Madrid hosting Sevilla. Currently, Atleti, a 1 and 1/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Over unders 2 and 3/4. Juice all the way to under. Sevilla are going to play low scoring matches forever. That's just what they are. They don't have much of attacks, many attacks to speak of. Atleti with a thrashing of Sparta Prague on the road, and then also Valladolid on the road. Got their manager fired. 11-0, I think it was on aggregate last week. That's awesome, but Sevilla's different. They're going to try to control the ball, and they're going to make it really hard on Atletico to have it and score with it. Atleti's counter is pretty dynamic, but I just think it's got a lot to ask for them to win by multiple goals when they won't see a lot of ball because that's what Pimienta does. So I'll lean under 2 and 3/4 in that matchup. Moving to Monday, we have Getafe hosting Espanyol. Currently, Getafe half a goal favorite with all the juice. Over under is 1 and 3/4. Juice all the way to over. Again, I'll be waiting to see this hit too, but it's not there yet. And I'll certainly be waiting to see if Getafe money hits because I don't trust them to score goals whatsoever. So I got to put something on the list for that matchup. I'll go Espanyol half a goal underdog because we don't have the two just yet. Now, as for my best bet in Spain on Saturday morning, well, everything's pretty much this morning here in the United States when you are 6 hours behind Spain in the central time zone at least. But I'll go with that under 2 and 3/4 Girona hosting Real Madrid, as I think Girona, I mean, they were so attacking last year, but they've had to throttle that back with so many injuries. And Real Madrid, I think, are certainly dealing with a lot of defensive problems, but I feel like there's going to be less shots on goal than this total certainly says. So Girona under 2 and 3/4 for my best bet from La Liga. We'll move to Serie A in Italy. We have Genoa hosting Torino on Saturday morning here in the United States. Genoa, a quarter goal favorite with a little bit more juice on Torino. Over under is 2, juiced all the way to over. Torino's been a godsend for unders for years under Ivan Juric and seemed to still be that way this season. Genoa sold all their best attacking talent. They still have some, but I feel like most of their goals come from flukes or the penalty spot. Give me under 2 in that matchup. Might get 3 before kickoff. Moving next to Juventus hosting Bologna. Currently Juve, a 3/4 goal favorite at home. All the juice on Bologna right now. Total is 2, just all the way to over. It's been jockeying between 2 and 2 1/4 and 2. We'll see where this ends up closing. But Juve matches are not seeing goals. I don't expect that to change. So give me under in that matchup. Do have some interest in Bologna as a side, but I think a +1, which is not going to happen, is something I'd want there. As for the nightcap, Roma hosts Lecce. Currently, Roma a 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Over under is 2.5. Juice all the way to under. It feels like a big total, and honestly, kind of feels like a big spread for Roma, who've shown no offensive ability. Got blanked as a home underdog to Atalanta last week. They're on their fourth manager, I think it is, of the season, or third, because they went with De Rossi to Juric with an interim in between. I guess I don't know if that really counts. And then now to Claudio Ranieri, who's a former Roma player, Crowd seem to be really backing him, and it looks like he's going to stick around for the whole season. But man, he has not looked good so far, and it feels like there's just not any goals in Roma. So give me Lecce, three-quarters of a goal underdog, and also under 2.5. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with Fiorentina hosting Cagliari. Currently, Fiorentina one-goal favorite with all the juice. Over under is 2 3/4, juice all the way to over. Now, Fiorentina had some heart scare from Bove, one of their players last week, that ended up having a match postponed. That's brutal. We'll see how they respond to that. Uh, they did have Coppa Italia midweek, so maybe that's a good way to get it off your chest, or probably not a great reference there. My bad. But the Cagliari side, they have a firefighter relegation fighting manager who has played a lot more aggressively at home this season, but on the road, they're going to try to lock this game up. I'm interested in the full goal of insurance. I think more interested in under 2 3/4 and potentially three on Sunday morning in that early 5:30 Central time slot. Verona then hosts Empoli in another matchup that's not going to see a lot of offense. Verona, a quarter goal favorite, all the juice in Empoli away from home, and then some. Looks like this probably goes towards pick'em soon. Total is two, just all the way to over. I think there's some value there. Verona's defense has been awful, but Empoli's offense is not great. They do have some hot strikers that seem to pop up from time and time again. But I'll lean to Empoli as the quarter goal underdog, of course, and to the under two. So I'm not sure that quarter will be there very long. Things are apparently, we have ghosts in my house now. It's 2:03 in the morning. Great. Venezia then hosts Lake Como, or I guess just Como. Venezia, actually a home underdog right now. Pick them right now with almost all the juice on Como. Totals 2.5, juice all the way to under. I don't trust Como whatsoever. I think I'll play Venezia at pick 'em, but we'll certainly be waiting to see if more Como money comes in. I'll lean to under 2.5 in that matchup as well. Venezia have not been great, but they've been better at home. They do feel like they get I feel like they get a bunch of penalties there, which certainly makes you look a lot better than you are. But I don't think Como's good. I think they've gotten too much respect from Serie A all season, and that seems to be continuing, though they've deserved none of it. Last but not least, on Sunday, we have a Napoli-Lazio rematch at the Coppa Italia midweek. Napoli, a half a goal favorite, juice to split both ways, totals 2 1/4, and juice more to the over. Both teams rotated in Coppa Italia midweek. Napoli, I think, rotated more. Um, they are going to play a game that I think is going to be very, very nice and gentle on Lazio. I think Lazio are going to be able to hang in this matchup because Napoli don't do much offensively under Conte. They think they really focus on protecting their neck and actually protecting their net. So I think under 2 1/4 is my biggest interest in that one. But I like the Lazio side getting half of a goal as well. Last but not least, on Monday, of Monza hosting Udinese, currently Monza a pick'em with almost all the juice. Totals two, all the way juice to over. Might see 2 1/4 in this matchup. I'll be waiting to see Udinese move to an underdog. I don't know that I want that, but Monza have not really been impressive offensively for this entire season. I think under two is the easiest pick to put on the list right now. For my best bet in Italia, I will in Serie A. I'm tempted by unders in both the Juve Bologna and Roma Lecce matches. It's a higher total in Lecce, and I think while they are certainly a weaker defense than Juventus and Bologna, both playing in Champions League, man, it's tough. It's going back and forth. I'll go. I like them both. I really do. I probably will be playing both if that wasn't obvious already. I'll go Lecce Roma under 2.5 as my best bet in that nightcap on Saturday. Moving to France in Ligue 1, we'll go with Monaco, a half a goal favorite with all the juice to Toulouse. Over under is 2 3/4. She's almost all the way to under. Um, Monaco, as I wear their kit, version of it, they have been really impressive this year, but they don't get a lot of respect, or shouldn't, at home because they have no crowd. Toulouse are a goal scoring team, so I don't really want much to do with under here. I think if anything, like over 2 3/4. So there we go, Joe Dollar. There is your over for this episode. Next, we'll go to Nice hosting Le Havre. Currently, Nice a one-goal favorite. All the juice on Le Havre away from home. Total is 2.5, juiced all the way to under. Total and point spread, goal spread right now seem to reflect the low scoring visitor coming in to a potentially low scoring favorite as well. Nice have been scoring more goals but conceding more. I don't expect them to be troubled as much by Le Havre coming in off of a really tough loss against Angers at home, newly promoted side that's been bottom of the leagues for a while. It got relegated in embarrassing fashion a few seasons ago. Le Havre needed a better result. I bet they're very motivated for the trip to Nice. So give me Le Havre +1, and I like under 2.5 as well. To the nightcap, Angers, speaking of, three-quarter goal underdogs at home to Lyon. Total is 2 3/4, juice all the way to over. Angers have been playing great. The market has been betting them a lot. I'm interested in that. I'll put the three-quarter of the goal on my list. Certainly be waiting to see this move to one, and it probably should get there for kickoff on Saturday evening in the West area because SCO is Sport Club Oueste Angers. So they're somewhere out west in France. As for Sunday, we'll go to Lens hosting Montpellier. Currently, Lens a goal and a half favorite. More juice on Montpellier. Total is 3. Juice is split there. Montpellier have been playing better as they try to climb up from the bottom of Ligue 1. Lens, great home team, really good defensively. I think it's a really tough matchup for Montpellier, and I don't want much to do with it. Maybe lean under 3, but there's a lot of stress if you're backing Montpellier under. Nantes then hosts Rennes, currently Nantes a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over under is 2 1/4, juice slightly more to over. Great performance against PSG, getting an unexpected and really essential draw. Might have kept Antoine Comboiré in there as their manager, and maybe he'll go back to putting a international French goalkeeper to start again instead of playing some scrub off the bench. Rennes on the other side, they are playing better. They've switched managers. Jorge Sampaoli came in, formerly of Marseille and Sevilla. He's a maniac. I want to bet against him. I like Nantes getting a quarter of a goal at home, and I lean to under 2 1/4, though that doesn't really drive so much of Sampaoli. Moving next to Strasbourg, hosting Rennes. Currently, Strasbourg, a quarter goal favorite at home. All the juice on Reims away from home. Total is 2 3/4. Just a little bit more to under. Strasbourg have big mistakes. I mean, they're really talented, but they're young and they make young, stupid mistakes, ridiculous handballs, ridiculous mistakes every week. And it's just not something I can stomach anymore. And I like Reims. They did not play great at home. Had a tough loss. I mean, I thought they were in it and had a lot of chances. Usually they're great at scoring goals. I think that can happen here. And I think Strasbourg give up too many. So I'm interested more in over here. There's a second one, Joe Dollar, just for you. I lean to the Lens side, though. I think getting that quarter of a goal. But we'll see. Maybe I play an over. Did on Thursday Night Football, and that cashed with the Packers. So maybe that's a good sign. Last but not least, the nightcap, Saint Etienne hosting Marseille. French Giants, but one trying to get into Champions League, which it never seems to be able to. And Saint Etienne just trying to stay in the league. Wild. But Saint Etienne, a 1 goal underdog at home with all the juice totals, 2 3/4, you slightly more to over. Saint Etienne, every bet I win on them feels like a really, really great one. And then I bet them again, and they just are horrible. Defense has improved, but then they get smacked around last weekend by Rennes, who have not looked good at all. Man, it's tough to deal with them. I'll say I honestly think that they perform better away from home because they have less expectations and less booing crowd. At least the booing crowd is the one they know that should boo them. It's not their fans wearing their same kits. I lean to Saint Etienne getting that full goal of insurance at home, but man, I'd like to stay away from it, I gotta say. For my best bet in France, I'm gonna go with Le Havre under 2.5 goals. Nice at Le Havre, or Nice hosting Le Havre. I just think that's gonna be very hard to find any sort of goal action, especially after Nice gave up a bunch of goals to Lyon last weekend. Moving to the German Bundesliga, coming off Copa DFB Pokal Cup play midweek. We'll start with Bayern Munich hosting Heidenheim. Currently, Bayern a 2 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice in Heidenheim away from home. Totals 3 3/4. Shoots all the way to over. Heidenheim took a 2-0 lead and couldn't even cover +2 last weekend at home against, or excuse me, on the road at Leverkusen. Pretty brutal to then also go to Bayern Munich. Got already knocked out of DFB Pokal, so they should be rested. But man, I don't think rest will take the pianos out of the shorts of their defensive line. Bayern should destroy them, especially after a disappointing draw at Dortmund, which was the ultimate best bet last week. Another winner, 17-4 year to date, 8-0 last 8, 13-1 last 14. but I think Heidenheim, I mean, they're gigantic. The number, if it gets 3, I don't know how I avoid it, but I'm going to try my best because they can get smacked, and that might happen, whether they've beaten Bayern recently since they've got promoted to the Bundesliga, the Oberhausen, or not. VfL Bochum then hosts Werder Bremen. Currently, Bochum, a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice on Bremen. Away from home, totals 2 and 3/4, juice all the way to over. There's a lot of respect here for the road team that doesn't really score goals, and when they do, it's ultra efficient because they don't really create big chances. I lean to Bochum getting a quarter goal, but I think they are the new under heartthrob in the German Bundesliga. Not a lot of unders in this league for sure, but Bochum are playing very defensively, and after getting shellacked earlier this season, I think there's some interest for me there at least. Lean to the home underdog in the quarter of a goal as well, but under 2 and 3/4, potentially 3 is my biggest interest in that one. Eintracht Frankfurt then host Augsburg. Currently, Frankfurt a 1 goal favorite at home, slightly more juice than Augsburg away from home. Totals 2 and 3/4, juice all the way to over. And this is tough because it's an over team in Frankfurt with great young talent that can score goals versus an under team like Augsburg who try to create from their defense by turning you over. I would want to play unders with Augsburg, but I'm not doing it in this one against Eintracht Frankfurt. I think it could get ugly, and we'll move on to Bayer Leverkusen hosting St. Pauli. Leverkusen a 1 and 3/4 goal favorite. Pretty big price considering how well Pauli have played away from home, especially dictating tempo and controlling games. Almost all the juice on St. Pauli away from home as well, so that's pretty large. Total is 3 in this one, and that's where I want to attack the most. I think St. Pauli are going to hang in this matchup. I think you play 3 where they struggle to score goals, especially at home. They finally got a home win and so or a home goal, obviously. But I think they're going to have troubles, and that push on 3 is important versus no push on even 2 if you play the St. Pauli side. I just don't think St. Pauli have a great shot of scoring goals. Leverkusen are starting to look like they're playing a little bit better, though I would like to be against them as much as possible. Don't think we're gonna get a +2 though on the side, so that's probably one I'll stick away from and just go with under 3. Moving next to Holstein Kiel hosting RB Leipzig. Currently Kiel a 1 goal underdog at home with juice split both ways. Total is 3, just a little bit more to over. Leipzig, they had DFB Pokal midweek. Holstein Kiel were already eliminated. Leipzig are looking ahead to Champions League. They need a result. They must win because they have not gotten a point. 5 losses in 5 match days. Unbelievable for actually one of my draft picks in a snake draft of Champions League, and you get a point for each of their points. So I've got none from Leipzig. Thank you very much. Man, Dankeschön. I think Holstein Kiel are a bad team, and that's obvious. They are especially bad at home. They look like they're getting relegated. I don't know how to back them against Leipzig, but getting a full goal of insurance does tempt me. With that said, I think I'm more interested in under 3, that Leipzig will be more focused on defense after conceding a ton of goals over the last few weeks after conceding none through the entire campaign. Man, there's a lot of landmines in that one. Now we move to the top spiel, a battle of the Borussias. Borussia Mönchengladbach hosting Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Mönchengladbach defallen a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice on Dortmund away from home. Total is 3 and 1/4, juice more to the under. Dortmund have not been good away from home. They haven't been able to do anything except steal wins in Champions League this year. Really fortunate against Bayern Munich, got dominated but took a 1-0 lead and held on for dear life. I lean to Gladbach, especially at home. I'll likely be on their side. I'm interested in the total at 3 and 1/4 on the wrong side of 3, but I almost don't want to give away any money if Gladbach win a lopsided match, scoring a lot of goals at home. Moving to Sunday, if VfL Wolfsburg hosting Mainz 05. Currently Wolfsburg a quarter goal favorite at home with all the juice. Total is 2.5, juice all the way to over. Mainz look like a decent dog here, especially coming off a blank midweek of DFB Pokal while Wolfsburg played. So I'm interested in that quarter of a goal. Wolfsburg, I mean, blasted Leipzig last weekend, but that seemed like a little bit of I don't know, a surprise, of course, a blip, I guess you could say. That's probably from the Leipzig's perspective. That seems to be a once in a lifetime thing. I like Mainz taking advantage of potentially more tired side. The spread and price is pretty low at only a quarter of a goal, but with full sport juiced all the way, we might get a half before kickoff. I also lean to under 2.5 because Wolfsburg, another one of those teams with a really high efficient offense. They want to play on a counterattack, and Mainz might fall into some traps, but as a home favorite, playing counterattack only does not seem like the best way to go about covering spreads. Last but not least, TSG Hoffenheim hosting Sports Club Freiburg, with actually Freiburg the road favorite. I didn't really like the hire, bring in a Sturm Graz, unproven Austrian manager who made it to Champions League and then played like they had no idea what they're doing. Um, Freiburg have been awesome. I mean, they've been so clinical. They usually take a lot of shots to score goals, but they've been just dominating games. Great start to the Julian Schuster reign at Freiburg. I think at this point, I'm interested in Hoffenheim. They move to an underdog, but I don't really think I want much to do with their pick 'em. Total is 2 3/4 in this one, juiced all the way to over. I lean to under there, I guess, but I don't really know that I trust the Hoffenheim manager as far as I can see him. So that is going to go through the German Bundesliga. We've now finished it for my best bet in Germany. Hold on, because I'll get to the ultimate best bet, which combine all the countries, summarize it all, and put in a 1 minute video on YouTube and Instagram. I'll go with Borussia Mönchengladbach, a quarter goal underdog in that top spiel on Saturday evening in the German Bundesliga. Now I've got a new phone, so hopefully I won't be out of space. It'd be ridiculous if I just bought one and it was. But it's time for the ultimate best bet. Before we get into that, I want to make sure I plug the NFL podcast on this network, Betting the Pitch on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, at the real_G Warner on YouTube. Go check it out. Got a full 40 or so minute episode on 6 NFL matchups with A_Schnicker. We do that every Tuesday, trying to give you an idea of where lines will move. You can go grade us and see how we did. Also have pregame.com podcast for college football. Big Saturday coming up, of course, with conference championships, and also the Need for Seats college basketball podcast. Both of those are through the pregame.com podcast network. If you need to go find them, there are links all over my Twitter, or go to @pregame now on Twitter, and you can find at Big East Ben and I. And then if you're not a member of my Patreon, check it out, patreon.com/real_G Warner. It's where all my plays are across all sports, including a great start this college basketball season. So it's time for the ultimate best bet. Let's see if I can actually record it correctly. So let's get into it. Hey, this is the real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet, where I combine my favorite pick from each of the top 5 European soccer leagues, one for each country. We're 17-4 year to date, 8-0 last 8, 13-1 last 14. From England, I like Nottingham Forest under 2.5 goals. In La Liga in Spain, I like Girona under 2 3/4. In Serie A in Italy, I like Lecce under 2.5. In Ligue 1 in France, I like Le Havre under 2.5 goals. And then Bundesliga in Germany, I like Borussia Mönchengladbach, a quarter goal underdog at home. And for my ultimate best bet on this episode, trying to keep that streak going, go to patreon.com/real_G Warner. You can find all my plays across all sports, including a really hot start to the college basketball season. But I'll go Borussia Mönchengladbach, a quarter goal underdog at home, where they get to take advantage of Borussia Dortmund really struggling anywhere that is not the Signal Iduna Park. So take the battle of Borussia's, but the Gladbach version, home underdog, plus 1/4 of a goal. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully I did that right, and I will not have to re-record it. But anyway, it's been real. It's super late. I'll see you all in just a few hours, as I never sleep.